as I mean, one of the faculties just now mentioned, Bharat Institute already is being, recognized as IIC. That's a great step. Before I start my lecture, I think I request or urge all the students and faculty to go through the guidelines. Maybe you have formulated a policy for your organization, and certainly I think students should be aware of these kind of incentives that this policy is creating, that national innovators and startup policy, national innovation and startup policy, NISP. I think how the students can actually get the credits in case if they are not able to attend the classes, but if they could able to attend certain innovation activities and startup activities or enterprise related events and workshops, in case if they are attending any competitions they are attending along with the faculty. I think it is well demarcated in the policy. I think all students and faculty should know what are the thrust areas of NISP 2019, so that they will be following these norms and guidelines properly, so that IPR also, okay, as one of the key aspects here, like how much of the royalty is to be given to the host organization or the parent organization, and how much the innovator may get. So all these things are well written out there. So coming to the actual topic today, any property, we all are protecting our property in a tangible way, like gold, house, whatever. There is a kind of registration process, and there are some bonds to protect different properties. So similar way, any kind of intellectual property that is invisible property can be actually can also be protected. So if you can see, that is an intangible but government certified or non-government certified. So that intellectual property, you may be aware that patents are there. Okay, other than patents, also IP protection can be extended to softwares, other processes, copyrights, trade secrets, and also tangible IP for your kind information, in the form of content of databases. Okay, so I hold the information and you do not, or maybe biomaterials, etc., etc. Okay, so you have to define which kind of intellectual property is applicable to which kind of inventions. So in this case, software, okay, Puma is having AI software, and Baltimore Pharmacy spin out actually, and they have the big data analytics in healthcare, again another example. So processes, PCR is one thing, or maybe other process of amplifying, detecting and cloning nucleic acids. So this is a complete one stretch you can actually protect intellectually. Again, copyright is there, images are there, neckties, randomly when we check globally kind of billions of market for the neckties, and some of the universities, the design on the neckties, for example, laboratory, when you are seeing a microscope, okay, and you will be getting different patterns, for example, snowflakes. Okay, similar way, when you're actually seeing the cells under microscope, or bacteria under microscope, or maybe any other chemical molecules, the patterns that are forming, those images are printed on the neckties, and they actually made a technology, and that has been transferred to a private industry. Yeah, I mean, $1 million business again. So I think, each and every component beautifully you can actually protect it, and so that you can actually make it commercializable. Even lab books, lecture notes, etc. So trade secrets, if it's a kind of proprietary information, any kind of published information, non-published information as well. So ex-Google engineer, they actually have a kind of issue there, and trade secret theft. Again, self-driving cars is one thing that is already mentioned out there as a number. So I think you need to understand what types of intellectual property is there, and if I have an idea whether it can be tangible or intangible, and if it is a copyright, if it is a trademark, that you have to understand. And in order to understand that, you no need to actually deep dive into these kind of mechanisms, but basics of IPR as an innovator, every student and faculty should be knowing. So I think it's a property created by the intellect of a human mind. Okay, and yeah, maybe I can jump directly. There is a slide there, but anything that has been made by human under the sun, okay, that can be patented. That is what actually a case study, resolution diamond and Chakrabarti's case. You know, Dr. Chakrabarti died recently. But, that's a diamond Chakrabarti's case has been actually a kind of a fantastic case study, University of Florida, where they actually engineered a bug, a bacteria that can actually protect the corrosion of ships actually. So I think that engineered first time in those days, about 80s, I guess. So the lawyer as well as the scientist, I mean, they actually fought for it. Then finally, after 2 years or 3 years, they told anything man-made under the sun can be patented. So the first time the microbial engineering process has been started patenting. So that's one example. So anything that is there as an intellectual idea from the human mind can be patented. A non-physical property that stems from and whose value is based upon basically the ideas, the brilliant ideas, the million-dollar ideas. So it encompasses with the right of protecting that offered by legal regime. So any legal bonding or registration is compulsory, and such things I mentioned to you already, be it a patent, copyright, trademark, design, GIs, you know, geographical indicators and trade secrets. So there are different acts and different definitions. I'm not going to read all of them. Just simple to say, it's a kind of invention, a creator. The creator is called inventor. The sole right of an inventor to make, use, and sell that invention for a set period of time. So maybe a period of 20 years, you know, you can actually make by yourself, use by yourself, and sell by yourself. So all the rights will be yours. So a kind of gadget that you made, maybe that gadget is actually finding your all other gadgets in the house, for example. Okay, simple Bluetooth mechanism, or maybe other Wi-Fi mechanism, or whatever you call it. Maybe other interventions if you can feel. And if you can inculcate, if you can patent it, yes, that particular gadget, that particular technology, next 20 years, you are the owner of that, invention. So I think this is the way someone can actually protect. And there are patent acts and the kind of amendments also that we got recently, I mean, about 10 years before. So that conveys the inventor substantial rights to secure him a valuable monetary right which he can enforce for his own advantage, either by using by himself or conveying the privileges to others. That is where the licensing comes into practice. So you have a right and you will be licensing it to the third party. You're not selling it, right? You're licensing it. You can license to one particular person on an exclusive way, or maybe multiple ways by a non-exclusive way. I think licensing slide, I'll be telling about that. I told about you the period also. I think three factors you may be hearing in YouTube or radio or anywhere people talk about patents or anything that can be protected through intellectual property manners. I think a new product or process. So most of the scientists or professors like yours or your student innovators, when they're writing grants, they will ask, okay, what is the novelty in it, right? So at the same time, okay, can you please tell how different it is from the others, right? So I think your actual intellectual property thingy is falling into that novelty factor where everything may not be disruptive innovation in the sense, altogether new, okay. Maybe mosquito bat, for example, that time nothing is there, but someone actually tried it and it's altogether new. Okay, in a small level of, but big business, but small idea. And again, incremental innovation. So I'm telling about two differences. Most of the, patentable things may be of incremental innovation value. So you may be tweaking the existing technology. Okay, there is a platform of some sensors, and you may be actually integrating IoT. So IoT sensors, again, that is use it for some other purpose, and there may be some kind of USP, unique selling proposition existing into that. So that is to be well defined. Again, it's not, should not be there everywhere, you know. So it is not obvious to actually protect it. So non-obvious, and of course it should be useful. So very important that, you know, if there is a usefulness and there is a value for it, when people are started using, I think definitely these three factors are considered to be patented. So I'm not going to tell more in detail things about the patents in specific, because I'll be covering superficially, and I'll go for the patent reading. One slide is there. So quickly to mention one thing is that in Indian scenario, for example, patent, a researcher is working in the laboratory, okay, and there are several steps, maybe several timelines. You may be doing, okay, step A you have done, step B, step C, step D you are doing. So some people think that you can file a patent once everything is ready. You can, once I get large validation data and everything, you know. There are at least a dozen of other innovators in India, or maybe another 50 innovators around the world may be working in parallel. You may not be knowing, right? So once your hypothesis is ready, once your concept is ready, and once you generate small data that is encouraging you to take it to the next level, at that level, you maybe start thinking in the intellectual property right protection side. Okay, maybe designs, for example. Some products are there. So design patents, you can actually do the rough sketches and feasible sketches and viable sketches if you have. I think let's file it, because by next 1 year you can improvise the designs and you can actually add some value, and you can put more data so that your final patent, because 1 year is the duration where you can actually do the things of final patenting that you can do. Maybe after 2-3 years it can be granted, depending on the analysis and everything. So my point here is, for innovators, you have to be kind of alerted when you are doing something in this line, because when can I patent? This is a question that most of the innovators will be asking. So as soon as possible, because you may be interested more for publications like research articles, right? So before you publish the research articles, or before you publish any abstract, or before you mention in any news channels or newspapers, it's better to actually do the filing. Otherwise, all these things will be falling into a prior art. You are actually doing an art that can lead to the protection of a particular property, intellectual property. But prior to that, if your invention linked information relevant to this, if it is public, your patent will be either weakened or weakened. Okay, that means there is no much strength. At the same time, you may not be able to patent it at all because of the prior art that is available in the public. So you need to understand all these things. Once you provisionally file your technology, whatever the works that you are doing, then you can plan for your publications like research articles, reviews, or whatever the way. So I think please be careful when you're actually trying to work on some translational works. Okay, you may be a basic research scientist or research professor or a research student, but when you're actually trying to translate it to a product or a process, you need to understand which level I can actually go for filing. Yeah. So here, okay, anything that is useful can be patented. At the same time, exceptions are there. For example, if you identify or maybe discover a nice surgical process for treating humans, okay, or maybe animals or whatever, if you protect it for next 20 years, you only will be doing, but it may not be available to the other public and in the masses, right? So hence that cannot be patented, right? Because that kind of surgical or medical practices cannot be patented. Again, anything that is really injurious and harmful to the people, that cannot be. Anything that is violating public morality and other public interests. So again, agriculture based, which are directly relevant to the economy process. Even there is still a debate on, why agricultural practices, some of the seed based activities, because they may be getting protected, a lot of crores of business, but still there is a debate going on. So you need to understand, strains cannot be patented. For example, a strain may be useful for industrial applications or any other uses, but you cannot actually do it. If it is actually genetically modified or the genes are tweaked in that particular strain, probably that can be patented. So infringement means if someone is copying and there is a code that is working, so there is a kind of injunctions, that means damage charges that they will be putting onto that particular person. And there are different models. I can say that, interlocutory and damages are their account of profits, etc. Again, when you come to the copyrights, it's a kind of intellectual property right which is a person acquires a work is the result of his intellectual labor. Basically, if you can give some examples, yeah, I mean, Sony and many other cases earlier, the music or literary, dramatic, artistic works, that can be actually copyrighted. Okay, even simple books, if you can see, open a book, the copyright belongs to Elsevier or Springer, blah, blah, blah. So when you are using particular thing, an image or a particular phrase properly, you need to actually take copyright permissions from the particular publisher. Similarly, the musical works or other artworks. So just briefly to say, these are copyrights. Again, monopoly can be restraining from others to exercising that right. So you have to actually have your own copyright, and there is a kind of, again, what you can say, rules and regulations that are linked to these particular copyrights. Again, term of copyright is very interesting. Patents I mentioned, some countries 18 or 20, whatever, but in this case of literary, dramatic, musical or artistic work, other than photographs, lifetime of the author 60 years. So I think this is the kind of copyright period, whole and soul that person. I think great scope for students. I think I have seen some of the prospective students who became job holders, but I have seen someone is working as an assistant director in your list when Dr. Papia is showing. So I think, they are more beneficial when you can copyright these things. Again, yes, who are the owners? These are the owners, producers, photographers, artists, etc. Infringement, again, there are certain modalities. I don't want to mention about even the remedies, administrative remedies, and again, civil remedies can be joined, and again, criminal remedies, for example. So all these can be implied. So trademarks, a mark capable of being represented graphically and which is capable of distinguishing the goods or services. I mean, the logos or the names, emblems, etc. I think, you should be very careful when you are using. Yeah, I mean, the Ferrari logo can be actually putting onto some other favorite car of yours. But yeah, I think it is all malpractices. So if you can see a mark that includes device, brand, heading, label, ticket, name, signature, word, letter, numerical, shape of the goods, even shape of the goods, by the way, and packaging, style, and combination of colors, and any combination thereof. I think you need to understand what kind of devices, what kind of letters, what kind of numericals like 555, 501, etc. And letters IBM, gone, GM, gone, LB, 3M. All these things are trademarks, so you cannot actually have something similar to that. They may actually sue you, right? So again, symbols, if you can see BMW, Maruti, Benz, their particular symbols are really a trademark. Again, brands are there, cycle brand Agarbattis, for example, McDonald's, etc. Again, label and tickets. Okay, I'll tell you an example. Composite a mark containing various features including devices, words, usually painted on paper and attached to the goods themselves. I think, exactly that ticket will be there for several generations probably. I think that is one trademark. I think no other can actually trademark such kind of tickets. Again, name is one thing that that can be a trademark, and that cannot be actually used as it is. I can see some of the Maggie packets or noodles packets, if you can see, or some of the typical spices packets and all, if you can see, mostly the appearance, packaging, and everything will be there, but the name may be changing suddenly. I mean, it's a kind of, again, malpractice, but it's one of the gimmick by other competitors. But yes, in case if it is a serious situation, I think the main competitor, the main trademark holder can actually file a case again those particular brands. Sound is also, if you can see MGM Pictures, that sound by the lion roar is actually trademarked. Again, Targent's Real is trademarked. So again, smell, you can see some of the tiles having rose flavor or maybe strawberry kind of smell. I think that is trademarked. Again, fresh cut grass of the tennis ball, smell of the fresh cut grass, I think that is trademarked. And these are very interesting ones. I think a large scope to actually have this kind of trademarks. Again, registration, the period for about 10 years, but you can actually renew it again for after 10 years and etc. So some can actually time ad infinitum. That means generation to generation, those trademarks can be continued. Again, some of the examples that I'm not going to tell in detail. So acquisition can be possible, suit can be possible, again, infringements. So GIs, I think in the intellectual properties, patents, trademarks, copyrights, how important they are. Similar way, geographical indicators, I can read some of them, Kanchipuram silk saree, that is GI. And Alfonso mango, Darjeeling tea, Kolhapuri chappals, and again, Nagpur oranges, and even Tirupati laddu, for example. It's one of the GIs. Even a couple of things have been incorporated about 2 years before. So I think even 2 months before, I'm not able to recollect it, something that is registered as GI, maybe in Telangana region, I guess. So all these things you can actually, they are restricted to that particular area. That means, they cannot be simply misused by other people for commercial purposes. Okay, so these indicators, they have certain rights to actually maybe use locally or maybe globally, but with those permissions specifically taken by those GI, ownership, etc. So the authorized user has the exclusive right again for a period of 10 years, but it can be renewed. So registered GI is a public property belonging to the producers of the concerned goods, and hence it cannot be assigned or transmitted or licensed or pledged or mortgaged. So you cannot actually do this, but there are certain kind of laws that are applicable to what you can say, indulge some of the infringement clauses on these particular misuse of these particular geographical indicators. I mean, I don't know how much time I have taken. Already 30 minutes done. So again, typically a patent, if you can see, mostly, first page is very informative with the references, title, and many other inventors and assignees. Assignee in the sense, which organization that has actually filed this patent, okay, and inventors from multiple organizations or not. So co-assignee also is possible. Patent number is there, which field, dates, and everything. I'm not going to tell about how to read patent things and all. Claims are very important, by the way. When you're drafting a patent, just like when you're writing a paper, introduction, research and methodology, results and discussions, etc. A similar way, claims are very important. Each claim is linked, okay? there are certain words you can use. It is comprising of, consisting of, and consisting essentially of. So this kind of way, claim 1 is linked to claim 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or maybe claim 3, 4, 5 will be linked to 7, 8, 9. So this way you can actually draft the application. Of course, you basically write your patent application just like a research paper, a 2-3 page content, and you can send it to the filing agents. They will be actually drafting it in the form of patent specification. So the biodiversity is one another thing. I think recently one more meeting happened, and biodiversity clauses and rules are more strengthened. This is what I'm telling about the diamond versus Chakrabarti. So microorganisms having multiple compatible degradative energy generating plasmids and preparation thereof. So this particular, maybe I think if you can Google it, diamond versus Chakrabarti's case, very interesting one. You can actually understand more. So coming to our topic today, again, IPR for startups. I mean, your student teams or faculty maybe teamed up with students. They formed a kind of translational team to work on something, maybe a prototype or something they are doing. So they need to understand where are you right now, which stage, and you need to depend on your own IP cell, or maybe you can depend on the incubator or the other TTOs that we have in India, like IKP Knowledge Park in Hyderabad. So they can help you, your students as well, for giving the prior art report. That means whether it is already reported somewhere, this kind of work, or relevant work and related work. There are two things to mention in the prior art report and IP reports: relevant work and related work. Someone might have published it that is related but not directly relevant to this. So I think that report will be giving some clarity whether you can actually modify your research methodology or you can tweak it more towards getting a more strengthened patent or not, right? So again, IP cell you will approach and they will be connecting to relevant filing agents. So they will be making the drafts and they can actually take it to the filing, and they'll be telling the charges minimum 10,000-15,000 rupees or whatever, but actual charges of filing is 4,000 rupees. I'm telling about the innovator's perspective. How, if you can actually a startup, if you started a startup within your organization or maybe outside your organization, they can register their startup in the DPIIT or Startup India platform. So you can contact such kind of patent agent where they can file your patent nominally. I think that money will be reimbursed to the patent agent by the DPIIT. So I think you will be very happy, right? Obviously, instead of spending 15, 20,000 or 30,000 rupees, you better actually file it with a nominal fees. So I think why I'm showing the right poster below here is BIRAC is conducting every Friday afternoon 4 p.m. I guess. So not every Friday, every alternate Fridays 4 p.m. They are doing this IP and technology management clinic. So please try to attend and learn more on this particular IP modalities of how you can actually, how your startup can actually use those platforms more efficiently. So technology transfer avenues also that we have, and you can actually, once you file provisional ones and all, immediately publicize your works, because a startup also will be well recognized in case if they published their works in a peer-reviewed journal, peer-reviewed. So please remember, because when you want to convince an angel investor or a funding agency, if it is already published and it is peer-reviewed, you will get more weightage other than your IP filing alone. So you have an innovation, you have patented it. If you don't want to sell that product or process by yourself, you can actually license it, right? So granting certain use rights without transfer of the title, that means ownership. You are the owner a long time, at least for the limit of the patent, right? So you will be licensing it to the third party who are ready to commercialize. So you're not selling it. So that is to be very well understood by all of you, so that maybe your university, for example, Bharat Institute is having maybe 20, 30 patents, and 10 student teams came up. They told, Madam, I think we want to license this technology to our startup and we want to sell it. That is one way of actually taking that license. Maybe you may be the inventor in that particular IP, or you may not be. That's okay. But you will be licensing that onto the startup that is registered by your team. So you will be giving back. That license can be because you are a student of or faculty of that institute. They may give it for free by taking more royalties, or the percentages may be more. Otherwise, they may be putting a cap of 5 lakh rupees or 3 lakh rupees, 2 lakh rupees, whatever. On a nominal way, they will be selling it to the startup. This is the one way of licensing that technology to the startup. Then again, licensing is a different way. Exclusive means only one company that may be having worldwide recognition, or maybe non-exclusive way. You can do it Indian companies or outside companies, whatever, but you will be giving to multiple people. My experience of working with ICGEB, we did some pre-licensing agreements, and we actually identified some companies, and when companies came to us, then identified the teams. This way we actually kind of make pre-licensing agreements, and also IP sharing agreements, then IP licensing agreements. So multiple ways of doing this kind of practices in the academic system when companies or startups are asking for these kind of licenses. So yeah, you need to negotiate. You have to sit with both parties. What do you want? Okay, when you are giving this technology to that company, and again that company, how much the academic teams are asking. So I think this is very important to understand whether you are taking lump sum amount or royalties you are taking, okay, upfront this much, and again milestone based payments. So these are all will be done by strategists and the negotiators. They'll be helping you for that. So license fee will be there, royalty will be there, minimum royalties and milestone payments, as I mentioned to you, and the scheduling, of the amounts, etc., as per the timelines. Uh, Maybe even the R&D costs also you can bill it to the concerned licensee. Even bioproperties that you bought it somewhere, or even the patent filing charges, etc. So, what are the benefits to researchers? Yeah, I have 10 minutes or less or more.
Sir, you can continue.
Okay, because I want to give 2-3 case studies of our startups, how they have taken the license from others. So I have time, right?
Yes, sir,
Yeah.
you have, sir. No.
Yes. So, this particular licensing models, they facilitate, you can work in the laboratory, and the research base, the organization is filing the patent, or maybe that can be transferred to other companies. You will get a lot of industrial partners, other new avenues of collaboration that will come. Again, the inclusiveness, like students, postdocs, fellow researchers can be involved into the particular translational works. Okay, and the part of the growing society, and you can create the impact indirectly or directly. So as a whole, you will be helping the national economy, by being a researcher, if you can actually adopt this kind of IP and tech transfer modalities. So new products and services that you can generate, and ownership that you will get, and you will be the inventor, you will be the IP owner, so that can actually share to the concerned parties within your organization. So startup set up by the researcher, more advantages that you will be getting, because you will be getting incentivized by the organization. Also, they'll be selling that particular technology on a limited, what you can say, charges. Being a program manager, when I see for the biotechnology ignition grant, IITs, even CSIR labs, and even NITs kind of thing, even DBT institutes, the technology that is developed there, most of the engineering grads or scientists or even IIM graduates, they license the technology, maybe 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, 10 lakhs or whatever, and they could able to start their BIG projects, and at least most of them got commercialized as well. So that royalties worked out very well for the DPT or IITs or whatever the host organizations, I can say. Yeah, so you have to get sensitized when you're licensing to a startup. You know, is the startup a good idea for the technology? Okay, which institution, and again, who are the inventors, the public good? Okay, I think again, if it is an in-house startup, then you can see whether any conflict is there or not, any commitment is there or not, and if it is really aligned with the institutional policy or not. Okay, and the best strategy to commercialize the technology is already there or not, and institutional mandate may be something different. Okay, they may be telling, okay, if it is an existing company or startup, then only we'll be giving. And financial issues like equity or cash or license fee, that also may be nominal. And what role the institution play, because arms length, they may be actually along with the startup or active advisor or maybe investor role or promoter role, right? So I gave examples I mentioned to you below this slide, like, you know, Byrax IP cell is one thing that you can actually look for. So typical processes, you have research works done, your invention is disclosed to the TTO or kind of department. They will assess it, what is the merit of technology, and having the intellectual property protected, then they will identify 2-3 technology transferring partners called licensees, because you are the licensor. So licensees, and out of the 3, 4 or 5, you will be picking the best one or best two to give, who are giving good financial commitments for you. Then you will be licensing it, and they will be commercializing it, and you will be getting the real royalties back. I think this is a typical process of once a startup is making the things. I think being a researcher or a startup, I think the cycle is very quite possible. I mean, this is one example of, you know, Florida Research Consortium, you know, how they have sold their technologies and made their, this is a kind of same chain. If you can see the YouTube link, I think this is very, very nice explanation. Each and every step is well explained. You can type EOSC Technology Transfer Hub, then you will get this kind of information out there. So CSR, CCMB, you know, resistant rice variety, suddenly rice grain or any other food products, they'll be attacked by microbes like bacteria, virus, or fungus, etc. Right? So in that case, CCMB scientists, Dr. Ramesh Shunti and his team, Dr. Hitendra Patel and all, they're trying to make some seeds which can be resistant to multiples of microbes. Okay, so in 2016 or 17, where IKP mediated one tech transfer to Metahelix, you know, so that is on the seed variety. But recently, Sri Krishna Mills, the technology is transferred for another bacterial variant resistant. So it's a grain variety. So this is one example of technology transfer, how academic innovators and they're protecting their technology has been transferred. So COVID-19, several technologies have been protected in IP mode, and they will be, they are already in the, you know, lines of transferring their technologies, not only from the research organization, but from the startup to the third party, commercial partners. So even diagnosis, you know, dry swab, for example, you may be reading in the news, as you collect the, you know, corona sample from the nose or throat, you will be putting it in the liquid, right? Generally, you might have seen. But here, not into the liquid. You take the dry swab and it is stable, and you can actually avoid a couple of steps from there, so that you can actually get the readout by PCR. And that will be fantastic. You will be reducing the turnaround time, you know. So that is a technology now many of the companies, diagnostic centers adopting, like Apollo with another partner. they took the license, and again, Merrill Diagnostics and Capital Health is one of our startups. It licensed this technology from CCMB. Again, other leads from CCMB and startups also in process. So one example, and another 2-3 slides I'll be winding up. CSR IICT's base purification, water purification technology. The blue shirt guys are Dr. Sridhar, and the other white shirt guy is Mr. Surya, who is a incubation manager in BITS and all. So finally he came back and started this particular company called Altheon, licensed this base technology of making water purification device. He actually integrated IoT to this device and also focusing on type 2 and type 3 water. So one water that is used for medical purposes, that means dialysis grade water, and other one is for the lab grade water, reagent grade water, laboratory purposes, PLQ, etc. Right? So now Nipro and BR Shetty Group and also Nephroplus that we have here in Telangana, almost close to 10-12 units already he sold after being incubated with us. This is one best example of technology licensing from an academic organization to a startup. Again, Oncosimis company, they actually developed a BLI, that means bilayer interferometry technology with this machine that you are seeing here. That particular device, you can actually understand the antibody titer of one blood drop of a patient, and within 20-30 seconds or less than a minute you will be getting the readout. So at a time 8 people, you can understand whether he is infected or not, and whether the antibody titer. Now after seeing the antibodies, you don't know when he got infected or etc. So that is the reason they developed another test by using antigen. So now they are actually detecting antigen also. So that technology, they are now validating in few thousands of samples. They, together with CCMB, they made a patent. Since it is an IPR session, I'm showing the IPR patent also here. So they will be commercializing this technology to third parties. So yeah, DrySwab I mentioned to you, and this is our AIC CCMB. We have 24 startups incubated, and out of that 18 are physically incubated. We have different modular spaces here. More than 10 startups graduated and they scaled up their technologies. And we have good campus. I think your faculty, Dr. Papia and Dr. Singh and all, they came the other day and they enjoyed the facilities. And maybe students also can visit some other time. So we got a lot of programs to support student activities, student innovation activities. Please try to see our websites and in social media or even other platforms where we are disseminating so much of information for the benefit of students who can actually work at AIC CCMB under pre-incubation model or maybe virtual incubation model or any other mode of engagements. So we get other international programs also to indigenize the diagnostic kits and the medical devices and diagnostic kit components, etc. So please try to engage with our social media platforms so that you will get a lot of information. So I think I might have taken more time, but thank you very much for, and any questions are there, please let me know.
Sir, can you please brief students regarding the opportunities are being provided?
I'm sorry?
Some funding opportunities are also provided to the students for their innovative ideas and for prototypes. Is there any scope in that? Can you please give some information regarding that?
Okay, I'm just sharing one more. Funding I mentioned to you already, but just 1 second, I'm sharing the screen one more time. If you can see this slide, so this is a kind of funding that someone can try. Even Bharat Institute may be trying for ACIC funding or EUA funding. ACIC is from Untitled Innovation Mission, but EUA is from BIRAC. probably you can actually support most of the student innovations. That is a very specifically designed program by ACIC, AIM, and also EUR. And yeah, this is one very interesting funding for students under 35 years of age. Any of the students, any stream, be it mechanical engineering, IT, biomedical, or any others, ECE or CSE. If you can see, out of these five fellows, only one is kind of a PhD candidate, Dr. Subhagomati, but all others are engineers. They are not even the biologists, except two, like Dr. Mr. Pranit and Saisi, both are biomedical engineers, but all others are IT and CSC. So I think why I'm telling this is that if you have an entrepreneurship zeal and having some kind of enthusiasm to start some, kind of company, etc., you please simply apply for it, because the next call is coming by July 1st or sometime the call will open. So you please apply. You will get a 50,000 rupees per month fellowship for a period of 18 months, and you will get a 5 lakhs kickstart grant to make your prototypes. So I think please try to hang on with AICCCMB's platform. And again, another interesting fellowship program for students is Entrepreneur in Residence program for engineering grads who want to inculcate some of the ICT interventions in healthcare. Okay, maybe any biosensors or IoT sensors in healthcare, or even bioinformatic tools or analytical tools to genomic data. I think most welcome. Altheon got the money because he integrated IoT to a healthcare device. Fair enough. If you can bring in such value to healthcare or any other biotechnology interventions, I think absolutely fair enough. This entrepreneur in residence, you will get 30,000 rupees per month, but a grant in aid, you will get a bit more. So try to actually look into this kind of funding. Again, yeah, seed fund is not for students, but yeah, I mean, this kind of CPHMS kind of model program where students can actually compete in some kind of lab on a chip kind of models, microfluidic based designs, if they can plan, so that organoids can be developed on these particular chips. You can integrate with other biologies. Okay, you can actually compete for small research grants whenever they announce this kind of challenges. This is all again. I just covered about this. 1 second. Yeah, this one is coveted. This open for startups, but people can, if you can have good ideas, if you already have a company, you would have actually attempted this grant. It's a CSR fund that we got a couple of months before, exclusive for COVID studies. Yeah, I think these are the grants that I want to tell, madam. But yeah, any specific thing, students, I think one slide I'll show you here. Yeah, so this Sitare and GYTI are more relevant for students again. You will get up to 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, or 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, depending on the call specifics by BIRAC and the Srishti Foundation. So even National Innovation Fund website you need to see, because most of the undergraduates and graduate students, I think these grants are more suitable. And postgraduate level, you can look for other grants and fellowships, etc. So I think that's what I can say, madam. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. There's one question from this student's side.
Yeah.
Incubation Center also give funding for prototypes if we have an idea.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned to you right now about the innovation fellowship thing is that I mentioned to you, right? BIRAC SPARS fellowship and also TIDE EIR grant. That is just to, if you have an idea, just come and present to us and we will be funding you for the prototype development. Yeah.
Okay, any more questions? If any questions are there, you can post in the chat box.
I'm sorry, I mean, I don't know whether I covered a bit rush or maybe I missed, but please excuse me. But maybe Dr. Papia, you let me know whether I missed anything.
Why do
Good
people
afternoon,
in
sir.
the settings compared to why do
Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible?
One second. Mr. Abhishek is asking a question. Yes, Abhishek, can you please repeat the question?
Sir, actually, I want to ask, why do people prefer US patent compared to Indian patent?
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's not about to prefer mainly go to the US patent because see, the market and very interesting question in the sense some are linked to the regulatory compliances as well. Okay, so Indian patent also people are trying to first they'll be filing here and then they'll go for the PCT and they'll be actually selecting some 3 to 4 countries under the PCT, maybe Japan, Europe, USA, etc. So, why there is so much of interest showing for the US patent? Yes, the markets are huge, and also the compliances are very, kind of, feasible when you compare with Indian scenario for certain particular processes and products. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
thank you, sir.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, sir. Yeah, please, yeah. Yes,
Uh,
Ms. Surya, please go ahead.
yeah. Thank you, sir. Sir, I have a question because I have conducted some meetings regarding this startups and incubation centers to the students.
Yeah.
So one student has come up with an idea. He has shared with me.
Hmm.
He has written, I have an idea of solar power pumping system. With the help of this light energy transferred to electrical energy. For
Hmm.
farming, it is very, very useful,
Yes.
such as watering the cultivation of seeds, plants, etc. Sir, he
Hmm.
wanted to know something regarding this.
Okay, see, absolutely, this is falling into that ICT interventions of energy sector or even the agriculture sector. There are 40 centers in India for this TIDE program. Okay, that can be actually the student can actually approach these grants so that they can the incubation centers or the TIDE centers they are called. They will be helping this idea to be taken forward to the next level. Yeah, and also Startup India website or Agni, AGNII. So if you can see that particular website, you will be getting some challenges or competitions in this line, especially energy, agriculture, agri-tech, which are relevant to the sustainable development goals that we have. Okay, so even maybe offline, if you can connect us, maybe I can connect to the relevant teams, relevant funding agencies or incubation centers, so that they can actually help your team. Yeah. Is that clear, Ms.
Okay.
Surya?
Yeah, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable suggestions, sir.
Yeah.
I request now Dr. Amit Agarwal, sir, to propose the vote of thanks.
No. Amitabh sir, there's one question in YouTube channel. Can I have sir?
Please. Yeah.
So the question is from Narasimha Swami, retired from JN2, professor.
Yes.
His question is, any antiviral substance, herbal origin, is there or not? Any antiviral substance, herbal origin?
Yes, sir. Yes, it is there. Even in fact, for your surprise, I think this coronavirus, if you can see, already one of our startups is working on pomegranate peels. Okay, so there is that is called the species name pomegranate Punica granatum, right? So earlier Punica granatum peel extract powder has been used for other complications, other health complications they used to use. But as they are having some reported antimicrobial activities, they tested in our facility for the antiviral, and we could able to get some what you can say encouraging results. So I think this is one example I'm telling, but yes, there are different antiviral compounds that are extracted from different plants, and they are exploring for the viral diseases. Yeah. I hope I
Sir,
answered clearly.
I have one more question from a student.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So one student is having the idea of making a mask. So though he's telling that, he is having a different idea about how to make the mask and that stuff. So he is asking because just now you have shown about that COVID components, etc. He is asking is it possible to get the fund or something when he gives the idea?
See, for the mask material, there are at least close to 100 companies or 100 independent freelance innovators. They actually developed masks. Out of that, at least close to a dozen or more than a dozen of them, they used different biologically active molecules coated on the mask or impregnated in the mask material, in the mask fabric, right? Even PPE kits, for example. So funding, I'm not sure, because see, first of all, you need to identify what are those molecules, whether it's ion-based molecules, ion like silver ions, or maybe copper ions or copper molecules. What is that thing that you want to try attaching to that mask material, or be it plant extract-based molecules or nano-emulsions, whatever. I think because you have to check for the breathability of the mask material, if you are putting any filter between the two layers of the mask material. So I think if the question is about very broad actually. Masks simply, when you're saying it's a different thing, but you can see one thing. I think IIT Kanpur, they actually did kind of great exercise, and they have a mask producing machine there, and they actually supplied several hundreds and thousands of masks to various parts of India. And even one of the, if you can type in Google billion mask challenge something, okay, so one of the companies, they actually developed a mask which is having a filter in between. Again, so you need to understand what is that USP that you are looking for, unique selling proposition, or what is the difference when you compare with other masks materials or mask type. I think that will actually trigger where to go and how to get the funding. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Now, Dr. Amit Agarwal, please propose the vote of thanks. I request all the participants to be there till the end. We'll distribute the feedback link for certificates.
Thank you, Papia ma'am, for giving me the chance to propose the vote of thanks. Firstly, good afternoon to all. Myself, Dr. Amit Agarwal from IIC team of Bharat Institute of Engineering and Technology, and Associate Professor of Electronics and Communication Engineering Department. Firstly, I am very much thankful, and we are from Bharat family very much thankful to Dr. Ramji Palela, Chief Operative Officer, Atal Incubation Center, CCMB, Hyderabad. Sir, with your guidance and your expertise, we all have learned a lot which was missing on our part, especially the students. Sir, I was going through the chat box, and the students have written so many things over there, and they were so grateful about the knowledge you have shared with them. Sir, thank you so much for being so informative, and with your guidance and support, our institute will be going further. Next, I would be very much thankful to the honorable principal of our institute, Dr. J.P. Singh sir, for initiating the activities of IIC in our college. And here I would like to mention the hard work done by Dr. Papia Datta for making this all possible. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I'm thankful to the faculty, students, and the participants of this program who have participated with full enthusiasm and put it the right questions and the informative answers what we have got from Dr. Palena. I'm thankful to. Yeah. Yes, sir.
No, I'm just saying thank you so much for this opportunity, especially Dr. Bhavya, who really coordinated that event very smoothly, and also Dr. Singh, and especially all of you, the faculty members, who are crucial to actually strengthen the student and technical communities. So, if you can excuse me, thank you so much, and all the best for the students.
Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to